Our vice president is in charge of a new division. It's called the fraud division. You know, if we straighten out half the fraud that took place in this country over the years, we'd have not only a balanced budget, we'd have a big surplus.
Going to make fraudsters know that they're going to suffer some consequences.
So the gravy train's over, the party's over, and we're coming for fraudsters.
Welcome back to Special Report. We're pleased to be joined by the CMS Administrator, Dr. Mehmet Oz. Thanks for doing this. Fraud is the topic of the day, and obviously you're at the forefront of some of this. Broadly, the American people don't have a full sense yet of how big a deal this is, right?
Well, if you just look at the money that we pay as a federal government for insurance, which is for Medicare and Medicaid and related programs, we think there's about $100 billion of fraud.
$100 billion.
Now, let me just put that in perspective so that folks can sort of anchor on. A lot of Americans who are working are concerned that Medicare won't be there for them. They're worried it won't be solvent. If we're able to take out the fraud in Medicare alone, we would double the life expectancy of the Medicare Trust Fund. It would add years more to the solvency of this program, which would give comfort to everyone working today that it's going to be there for them. The question really is how did it get so bad? And part of it is COVID, because when you start throwing money at problems, you don't watch where it's going, and fraudsters learn they can corrupt the system because they never realized it was so easy to steal from the government. Then they'll start to, weaponize it and use it in other areas like Medicare and Medicaid. We now have an all-government approach. So yesterday, for example, I spent the pre-dawn hours in Los Angeles busting into a swank neighborhood home owned by a doctor and a nurse who had been defrauding the hospice system there for millions of dollars.
And this is a big SWAT team move. I mean, you hadn't been on one of those.
I've never been on this, but dozens of young, just hyper-prepared individuals. There were drones and planes and these trucks they could drive through gates that they were able to blast through, and no one got hurt. And they stunned these folks in pre-dawn hours, and they were one of 7 hospice owners that were shut down yesterday. To put that in perspective, in the prior 4 years, the governor of California had shut down 4 hospices. We shut down 7 in one night. And I'll get news for you today, Brett. Let's announce, make it clear to everybody, we've shut down already, just in the last 10 weeks, 221 hospices in California.
Oh, wait, in the state of California, 220.
Yeah, in Los Angeles, not even the state, in Los Angeles. So we're able to dramatically accelerate a process that had been meandering along in California. And we believe that there are 1,800 hospices in California. That's, by the way, about 1/3 of the entire nation's hospice load is just in Los Angeles. We're going to be able to shut down, we hope, appropriately, half of them.
We saw what happened in Minnesota. Now we're seeing the tip of the iceberg in California. Every time we see a fraud bust like this, it's framed as kind of bad actors, and that it's happening on such a large scale because the system allows for it. What incentives inside Medicare and Medicaid are actually enabling this kind of systemic issue? It's obviously been going on for years, right?
Well, part of it is that government had been fragmented in its approach. So yesterday, the U.S. Attorney, Billy Asaili, led the charge. He got the Office of Inspector General, the Department of Justice. He got everyone working together. We're bringing in Scott Bessent in Treasury because guess what? Bank fraud's a big part of this. And we've also got a problem that's even larger, I think, in that we had told people in the federal government for the last 4 years under the Biden administration, don't do your job. Literally, we told people who were in charge of fraud that they should just sort of calm down. We don't want to have a big problem with this. This is not a legitimate issue. We just enroll people. We kept score in Medicare and Medicaid by looking at how many people were in the program, as opposed to were the right people in the program. And let's extend that now to autism. So what happened in Minnesota is they would pay moms to dishonestly say their children had autism. Brett, if you have a child in a neighborhood that's autistic and needs support, it's expensive and it's worth the investment. We should do it. It's the right thing. But if every child in the neighborhood is autistic, then no one really is getting those services. So you take scarce resources and funding and you now stretch it out. But here's the biggest message I can deliver tonight. This is critical. If these corrupt fraudsters are willing to steal your money, they will steal your health. They'll steal your life. I've seen it firsthand. Hospice owners who are willing to throw away the benefits that these older folks should have, and they die because they don't realize they've been tricked into signing up on hospice they never wanted. We have the same thing happen with durable medical equipment. Brett, we're right now in the epicenter of this. Durable medical equipment suppliers in South Florida outnumber the number of McDonald's by 2-fold. There's twice as many people selling wheelchairs and canes and braces in South Florida than there are McDonald's. How is that possible?
All right, so do you have enough people? Does this task force have enough stuff? Are you going to be able to get after this to the point where the American people can go, okay, this is moving the needle, this is making a difference?
Yes, because the president and the vice president and the task force says yes. So I spent yesterday, when we weren't doing the bust, talking to collaborators and talking about how we're going to be able to recruit the right people back into government, because we need people. And by the way, please, I came on the show in part to recruit folks. This is a generational opportunity to serve your nation. If you're interested in this space of fraud, come on, give us a call. We want to hear your tips. I found out that of the referrals we were getting in my agency from the Office of Inspector General, these are like detectives finding fraud, we were only acting on about a third. Well, if you only act on a third of what detectives are telling you is fraud, you're throwing away a lot of good intel, but also the detectives stop referring cases because they don't think you're serious. I told my team I want 100% of their referrals acted on, and I want to hear about it if we don't do this. And that's what everyone across government is doing, because the vice president has made it really clear. He doesn't want the gaming anymore. He doesn't want one arm of government holding back another arm. We are all laser focused on dealing with the crisis the American public is furious about.
Can AI and data processing help you with the fraud detection real time to be able to deal with it on the front end?
Brett, you're so smart. Come work with us. You got it. What you just said is profoundly important. One of the beauties of AI is that we could use it to catch fraud earlier and more accurately, but we could also use it to defend ourselves, because guess who's using AI? The fraudsters. They're corrupting the system with sophisticated tools to hide their ill-gotten gains from us. So by us using technology, AI in particular, we're going to copy what's already happening in banking. You don't think bank managers are good at fraud. If they were, they wouldn't be bank managers. AI is being used to help them think like a fraudster. We're doing the same thing for the first time. We've stopped billions of dollars from leaving the door of CMS. The goal for us is the money never leaves the building. And AI has helped us do that. Again, billions of dollars already, because we can identify fraud as soon as the fraudsters start corrupting the system.
And in the big picture, in the background, is insolvency of Medicare, which is now what, 2032?
2032 is when we predict the Medicare trust fund to go bankrupt. We can double that life expectancy. Medicaid, a program that I love and adore. The president says he loves and cherishes these programs. Let me be crystal clear. If we don't protect these programs from fraud, they will be destroyed by the corrupt system. And we don't want our most vulnerable citizens, folks who have had trouble, as Hubert Humphrey said, and it adorns the entryway to our building. You know, we want people at the dawn of their life, at the twilight of their life, the young and the old, and those living in the shadows, to be protected. If we don't take care of these beautiful programs, the crown jewels of our social safety net program, they will implode under the weight of the corruption that's now being pushed on them.
All right, you mentioned the president. His approval, overall, 43%. Disapprove 57. On health care, it's 38%, 61% disapprove. A lot of Republicans looking at these numbers going, the midterms right around the corner. Do you look at approval? Are you looking at how the public is perceiving some of these actions?
The president saved Medicaid. The president came into office with a proposed additional expenditure of $5.4 trillion in Medicaid alone. We were becoming a big healthcare system with a small country attached. So the president said, don't cut Medicaid. In fact, put more money into Medicaid. And we did, $200 billion more over the next decade. But we're not going to pay for legalized money laundering. And what we've been able to do is create a solvent program which will keep Medicaid alive for the rest of my life, allow Medicare's trust fund to last longer as we deal with the trust fund crisis and the fraud. And by doing those brave decisions in the Working Families Tax Cut legislation, we added a lot of other health benefits. For example, for the first time ever, the largest investment in rural health care ever in our country, doubling the amount of money we're putting for Medicaid into these programs that help 60 million Americans who don't live in urban areas. We have done the right things. So when people hear the stories, they nod their head up and down. They just want to know that we're doing the right thing. We're tightening our belt for the right reasons.
But when you are in an environment with low approval ratings, you're getting ready for an election, you've had Secretary Noem let go of her position, the Attorney General let go of her position. Are people inside the administration looking over their shoulder?
I'm not. Secretary Kennedy's not. And the president calls me all the time with very precise, well-targeted questions. He's an excellent executive, a superb leader. And all I need to know is that when I make a tough decision that I know we'll get some blowback on, but it's the right decision, the president says, go ahead. And you know what he usually says? I don't care what they say. do what's right for the American people.
Dr. Mehmet Oz, we appreciate the time.
I appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.